Hey, everybody, look at your screen. Look at the incredible guest we have for you here on the Jim Masters Show. This is your host, Jim Masters. Welcome to our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. The incomparable Jack O'Halloran is back here on the show, legendary acclaimed television and film star, as well as writer and author, and former heavyweight boxer. And he's a great guy with a big heart, and he's still out there making magic. He's working in television, he's working in film, and he's doing all kinds of great things. We're going to talk about that and a very special book as well that he's very proud of, his family legacy. We're going to talk about that and lots more. You may remember him in so many incredible epic productions, gang. He's a really good guy. I love this shot here. That's a really good shot of our friend. But of course, a lot of people also know, super boxing fans know Jack from his legendary boxing career and also from some of the great movies and television shows. This is around 75. This is Farewell, My Lovely. And of course, King Kong. Yeah. Again, just turn on your television or just rent movies and you'll see him pop up on your screen everywhere. And of course, in the Superman movies, Superman 1 and 2. He's got an interesting story about that too. He's going to share with us. Yeah. Really iconic characters. He was on television shows, multiple television shows and series. This was one from Dragnet, of course. And here's another one too, you may remember, Hero and Terror. This is really a fantastic one too. So many. There's another, look at that. How you doing, right? That's a fantastic shot. But again, he really is a great guy. And this is a return visit. He was with us a few years ago and we were connecting with him. He's a very busy guy. And for him to take time out of his busy day to join us is really an honor. He's coming to us from beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida, USA. Mr. Jack O'Halloran, welcome back to the Jim Masters Show, my friend. It's a pleasure to see you.
Good to see you, Jim. Thanks for asking.
The pleasure is all mine. How are things in sunny Florida? You getting a nice tan down there?
We're having a cold spell. It's about 60 degrees here, which is kind of like being zero up there.
We're here in the Northeast in the New York area for anybody
people
watching.
Get their fur coats on. It gets down to 60. They put fur coats on down there. It's kind of fun.
Yes, we have family down there that's from up here in the north. And when they come up to visit, if it gets below 70 degrees, now they're from here and they're also from New England too. And they're like, you know, it's a little nippy. I got to grab a light sweater and it's 70 degrees. That's how it is. How long ago did you transplant in Florida?
I came over here a couple of years ago from Los Angeles, from Redondo Beach in South Bay of California.
Oh, Redondo Beach is a great area. I've been there. Yeah, that's a
the South Bay is a nice area.
You really is.
Ocean Beach, San Diego. And
are you an ocean guy? I'm an ocean guy. I love.
Yeah, I like being on the water.
Yes,
really
it makes it. Yeah, but originally a Jersey guy, right? You still have that Jersey blood, your Jersey roots.
Yeah, went from Philadelphia, and they put the Walt Whitman Bridge in '57, and people ran out of Philly into South Jersey, and we built a house in Belmar, New Jersey, off the Black Horse Pike, and transferred over there in the 58, 60, 59. I graduated high school over there. And
that's right.
Stayed there for a few years and started my boxing career while I was there in Philadelphia. And then I went up to Boston. And from Boston, I went to California and became California heavyweight champion out of San Diego. And just and then in '75, they finally talked me into the film industry, which they started in '67. McQueen was doing Thomas Crown Affair in Boston, and he and I became good friends. And he tried to get me to go into Thomas Crown Affair, and I said, "I'm looking to fight Muhammad Ali, and you want me to go in the movie business?"
Right.
And I turned it down. So then they came to me to do The Great White Hope with James Earl Jones. In '68, I just knocked out Manuel Ramos, who was the champ of Mexico, and we were signed to fight Ali. I said, I think we'll stay here and play boxing for a bit. In '75, I retired and they came to me to do Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum. And
Robert Mitchum is a mentor and an inspiration to you, right? You really have admired
he
Robert Mitchum.
he was my mentor. Robert was terrific. Robert was great. He sold a screen test and said, it's either him or I don't do the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
I blame it all on Robert Mitchum.
What was he like? You know, everybody has their image on the screen and everything, the fans and the viewers, but what was he like off
He was
camera?
the most well-read individual I ever met in my life. He was a very bright guy and just a real down-to-earth individual. I mean, Robert was, he told it like it was. He was very frank and very straightforward and very well read, you know, and he and I had great conversations. And I think, I'll tell you a funny story. The first day we ever went to work, I had only met him once or twice at different boxing things. And he arranged to pick him up and then come pick me up to go to work. We had to go downtown LA because we were shooting a period piece. And we get down to the set and get all dressed up, and we're getting ready to do the very first shot we ever did. And he said to me, read that script, kid? I said, read it. I said, man, I know your role, Charlotte Rampling, John Ireland. He said, good, throw it in the trash can. I said, what? He said, don't let me catch you doing what thousands of people do in this town, acting. You just be yourself. Take this character, stick him in you, and walk down the street like yourself. He said, you've been a hoodlum all your life. This will be easy for you. So he was, and then he taught me the technical aspects of how where the camera to look straight through it, get an eye line. And he was terrific. He really was. He was brilliant.
You know, I had always heard that too from people, and it's really incredible. How did you initially get into boxing? What was it about boxing that attracted you?
I was ready to play pro ball. And in that era, when I was in the 60s, you couldn't play professional football until your class graduated college. And which they should still have today, because these kids are too young that are coming into the league. But we had a farm system, like the New York Jets grabbed me the first year I came out of school, and the Jets grabbed me. And there was a team in Philadelphia called Tinicum, and I played down there. The Christie brothers, a lot of guys who went into the pros played there until it was eligible to go up to the pros. And then when my eligibility came up, a lot of friends of mine were playing in Philadelphia for the Eagles, and I told Eubank, I said, I'd like to go down and play in Philly. He said, well, you got a home here. But then they sold the team to Jerry Wallman. He hired Joe Kuharich as a coach. And I watched this guy trade a championship football team away in about 2 months. Johnny Jurgensen, he traded, Tommy McDonald, a bunch of other people. And Muhammad Ali had just won the title. And I told some friends of mine in Philadelphia, I can beat that guy. So I wound up in the gymnasium. But I couldn't box amateur because you were already a pro, considered a professional. So I stayed in the gym for 5 months and just started my professional career. Started in Philadelphia, and I transferred up to Boston. And from Boston, I went out to California. And I lived in San Diego, which was the end of the cold weather for me. Mm-hmm. If you live in California for a year, you never move back east again. Mm-hmm. You know, the weather was incredible.
My parents, on their honeymoon, they met this boxer happened to be staying in the same hotel as them, and this was down in Miami at the time. And who comes around the corner? My father, a tremendous boxing fan as well. My father grew up in New York City, in Astoria, Queens, just two blocks over from Tony Bennett. Yeah. Sort of knew that whole, it was an Irish Italian neighborhood, beautiful spot there in Astoria. But they were down in Miami, and he got wind that there was this boxer at that time that was going to be staying at the hotel. And somehow something came together where they met Sonny Liston.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah, that was something, huh?
We had the same manager. Charlie,
really?
Yeah, Sam Margolis from Philadelphia. That's who got me into boxing. He managed Sonny Liston. He and Blinky Palermo had a host of fighters.
Wow.
Sonny was a good guy. He was I like Sonny. Sonny was a trip.
We have this picture too of my mother, Sonny Liston, like you, very tall and big, solid guy. And there's this picture where he has his hand on my mother's head, and my mother looks almost like a dwarf compared to Sonny Liston. And it's out on the patio, and Sonny is in his bathing suit, and it's just a really cool family. My father has said, I've asked him over the years, heroes and things of that nature. And it's of that time, of course, for him growing up. He always admired Sonny, Joe Louis.
Joe was a great guy.
And especially because of that whole, the German situation and Max Schmeling and it was, good versus evil and all of this. And just, Joe Louis, he really admired. Did you ever get a chance to meet or chat with Joe Louis?
He taught me how to throw a jab at a restaurant, a kid in the kitchen of a restaurant in North Jersey. Yeah, Joe and I spent some time together. I like Joe a lot. Joe was a very knowledgeable guy, very nice. He was a great fighter, but he didn't have the feet movement that Ali had. He was a very straightforward boxer, but he could punch. He could box and punch. He was a very, very knowledgeable fighter. A good guy. I like Joe a lot.
Yeah. Who are some of your heroes along the way too? I mean, you're a hero to a lot of people.
Willie Pep was a great fighter. Willie Pep had like 250 fights. And Ali, of course, Ali was a great athlete and great at any sport he did. And he was a tremendous fighter. And he got all that dialogue from Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George told him, he said, "Muhammad, you got to get a rap going." He said, because 50% of the people will come to see you lose, 50% will come to see you win, but you'll control 100% of the crowd. And that was true. He was the first one that brought money into boxing. He was, but when you met him one-on-one, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life.
Oh yeah.
When we were signed to fight 4 times, it just never happened. I was in San Diego, California, when I won the California Heavyweight Championship, and I was whacking guys out one after the other, and I got a phone call from him, and he said, "You got to do me a favor." I said, "I'll do you a favor. Sign a contract." "Oh, we'll get to that." He said, "But you need to do me a favor." I said, "What's the favor?" He said, "You're fighting my brother Rockman, and you got to get him out of boxing." I said, "Rockman Ali's your brother?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I better go in the gym a couple of days." So I knocked his brother out in San Diego, and he never fought again. In fact, I thought his mother was there and all. I went back to the dressing room to see him after the fight to make sure he was okay. And he said, "My God, you hit hard." I looked at him. I said, "What do you know about God, man? You're a Muslim. What are you talking about?" I said, "I must have hit you awful hard." He was a very nice guy. I love Muhammad. Muhammad he was a tremendous fighter and just a good person. I liked him a lot, actually.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh, I remember when he lost the title to the young kid, Spinks. And I said to him, "How could you possibly?" He said, "Jack, I was the director, the producer." He said, "I wanted to win the title back 3 times to be the first guy, and I knew I could beat him." So he said, "I blew the first fight and went back and beat him. And now I became 3-time heavyweight champion."
That's incredible.
He was that good. He was really.
And he had a personality too. People.
Oh, he was terrific. He and I had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. I mean, I fought a guy, Alvin Blue Lewis, in Detroit, who was ranked #1 in the world. He went at 13 rounds with Ali in Ireland. Then he came home and he beat Ernie Terrell and he beat another guy. And they put a fight together with he and I because they wanted him to fight Ali again. If he could beat me, they would get another Ali fight. So I went to Detroit and I beat him up pretty bad. And after the fight, I flew out to see Muhammad at the camp. I said, "Oh, come on, we got to get this thing on, man." He said to me, "Jack, if I give you a title shot, are you really going to try and beat me? I said, let me tell you something. For the first time in my career, I'll go to camp for 6 weeks like you do. And when you come in the ring, bring a gun. And he said, 2 steaks, please. He was good. He and I, we had a lot of fun.
That's incredible. What a great story. I mentioned my folks meeting Sonny Liston when they were on the honeymoon, and Sonny chatting with my mother and father. And they said, like you said, he was a nice guy, a great guy. Here's that photo of Sonny with his hand on top of my mother's head in Miami. How cool is that, right?
There you go.
His hand could just swallow up my mother's head.
Big hand.
Yeah. Yeah. My mother still talks about that story. And
he could punch. Charlie was a funny fighter. When he fought Ali, one of the things about Charlie, which was amazing, he couldn't stand to see his own blood. And Ali cut him. And he sat on a stool in the fifth, I think it was the 4th or 5th round. Wow. He couldn't. He had a phobia about something about seeing his own blood. Yeah, but he could punch like a mule. He knocked a lot of guys out.
So when you had this opportunity to then get into the movies and television, things of that nature, like you mentioned, Farewell, My Love, Robert Mitchum, that's a classic as well. What was that like? Was it something that you took to right away and you were,
I think the timing from boxing helped, and I always had a keen interest in the industry, and knew one day I was probably going to step foot on it. But when they came to me to do Farewell, My Lovely, and I read the script, I said, yeah, this is good. And then when I did the screen test with Harry Dean Stanton, it was a cakewalk. And when Mitchum said, it's either him or I'll do the movie. And I got to be good friends with Robert. Robert became like a mentor. He was better. I told him one time, I said, because I was leaving Samuel Goldwyn Studios, we did the film out of, and as she went out the back door, the editor's booth was right there. And the editor stopped me and he said, geez, you're Jack O'Halloran. And I said, yeah. He said, God, I'm sitting here cutting this picture. He said, this is your first movie you've ever done? I said, yeah. He said, wow, you're going to be a big star. And I said, really? So I grabbed Mitchum and I told him what the guy told me. I said, maybe I should go to UCLA or somewhere, take these, elocution lessons and stuff. And he said, stick with me, kid, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing. He said, they'll ruin you or you'll ruin them. Just do what you're doing. You'll be okay.
Just do what you're doing and stick with it. Absolutely. Farewell, My Lovely was back in 75. I want to mention too, fighting in 57 professional boxing matches before the movie television career, and fights with future and heavyweight champions George Foreman, Ken Norton between 66 and 74 as well. And really an incredible career in the boxing, side of things, which I think is amazing. Defeating a lot of contenders, career record of 34 wins. I mean, really amazing.
Actually, they had 25 fights they never put on my record.
Really?
25 knockouts. We used to do.
They didn't put on the record, huh?
Yeah, well, they used to have Sam Silverman and his partner. They ran shows all over New England. So I was fighting like every couple of weeks, and I would, a lot of us would travel up to see a fight and stuff. And the guys say, Jack, you got your shoes with you? I said, well, what are you talking about? Well, we need a bout. And we'll put you on the card. I said, well, I can't. You got to call my manager. No. So we'll just put you on another name. Don't worry about it. We just need to fill it. We need to fill in a bout. So I did that like about 25 times.
And after it's in the history books. Yeah, they need to update that for you. Absolutely.
We had a lot of fun. I mean, but fighters today, just fighting once a year or once every couple of years is crazy. You can't. There's no way. I mean, when I was boxing, God, I had 70 some fights within 9 years. So we were fighting every 2 weeks, sometime once a month. And I was doing other union business with my father's world. So if I was going to Cleveland, I'd say, who's got to fight out here? And I'd fight 2 weeks. I only trained a week for the Foreman fight.
Mm.
They call it, and for Kenny Norton, they called me up to fight Kenny Norton. And I said, when? They said, next week. You take the fight? I said, absolutely. So I jumped on a plane, went out there, and I gave Kenny a pretty bad beat, but it was his hometown. Mm-hmm. In fact, in the 9th round, we were standing toe-to-toe. It was a great fight. And they rang the bell 3 times before anybody heard it. And the referee finally separated us, and I was going back to my corner, and he ran across the ring and hit me behind the head and drove me into the ring post. And Commissioner Joey Amos was sitting there. And he jumped up in my corner and said, if you can't continue, you just won the fight. Well, I was so angry. I got hit behind the head. I said, I'm going to kill this guy. But stupidly, I should have sat on a stool. Could have won the fight easy. Mm. But so you got a hometown. He was owned by 2 billionaires from San Diego. Mm-hmm. But I won the crowd, so I stayed there. And then I won the California heavyweight title, beat Henry Clark, who nobody wanted to fight, out of San Francisco. Mm. Henry was a good fighter. There were a lot of good fighters around in those days. I mean, there was probably 15 heavyweights that could have been champion of the world today, fighting at that time. Oscar.
There's a shot of you with Foreman. This is a cool shot. You and Foreman.
Yeah, George a good fighter. Yeah. George and I became good friends. He would never fight me again, though. I walked into a punch, and as soon as I hit the floor, they stopped the fight. They didn't even, I got up.
Yeah.
But they stopped it right away. I said, well, this ain't cool. I said, George, we got to do this dance again. He said, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm done.
I had enough. I heard him pretty bad in the second round. I just didn't follow it up. George is a tough kid.
Absolutely right. Another legend. After Farewell, My Lovely came King Kong, huh?
King Kong. I said the very first words of the movie. It was we had a lot of fun doing Kong. Jessie Lange's first movie. And you knew she was going to be a star the first time you ever met her.
Yeah.
They had a great cast. Jeffrey Bridges, Charlie Grodin. It was a
and that's a iconic franchise to be a part of too. This is back in 1976.
Yeah.
This movie.
That was one of the better Kongs that they made. It was a good film. A great script. A great
cast. Absolutely right. And it's a cult classic even now. These days people still talk about it and they refer to it and they refer to your role in it as well. And another one too, the Baltimore Ballet.
Baltimore Bullet.
Bullet.
Great with Jimmy Coburn, Omar Sharif. That was Bruce Boxleitner's first movie.
That's right.
We had a lot of fun doing that. That Jimmy was a great guy to work with. I like Jimmy Coburn. And Omar Sharif was unbelievable. Omar Sharif was we were down in New Orleans at the Royal New Orleans Hotel, and he and I were having breakfast, and the women were at the door of the restaurant, out the door of the hotel, and around the block, waiting to see him. And I said to him, "Man, you go through this all the time?" He said, "Oh, Jack, I don't know how to tell you. It's unbelievable. These women are crazy." He was Omar was a super individual. I liked him a lot.
Omar Sharif,
great actor.
You've had an opportunity to work with so many. Again, the Baltimore Bullet, a fantastic one, and another great shot too. And that's another classic. You've been in so many classics. And then
it's a great little film. I liked it a lot.
Then another great franchise too. And you were telling me a story before we went on. Superman, the Bond movies, sort of kind of coming at you at the same time, but of course, going with Superman.
When they came to me to do Superman, and I loved the script because I was playing a character that was a deaf, dumb mute. And I said that if I ever got a chance to play a character like that, I would embrace it because Jackie Gleason was a friend of mine. Oh, he won an Oscar playing Gigo.
Yes.
And I said, if I got a chance to do facial and body emotions, I would love it. And Superman, Terrence was a vicious general. Sarah was a man eater. So somebody had to relate to the kids. So I said, I'm going to take this big brutish guy and play him like a child, learning how to work my eyes and stuff like that. And it worked. It came off pretty good. So Donner and I had a conversation about it, and he just let me go. And I said, you know, if I'm doing something wrong, stop me. But he was a great director. Richard Donner was brilliant. And it was a great cast. We had a lot of fun doing Superman. It was terrific.
Superman 1 and then Superman 2 as well.
We actually did them both together.
Yes.
It was trippy, you know, the way we shot that. It was.
Isn't that incredible to do it that way?
Yeah, in fact, we were shooting Superman 2, so Donner got so much into 2 that they had to stop him because they had to release 1. And we had to stop and finish 1. And then when they got rid of Donner, which was a bad mistake, he had already shot 86% of it. So they have another version called the Donner Cut, which is, if you haven't seen it, you should. So it's actually quite good.
It is. You also had a offering involving the James Bond movies too.
Yeah, Cubby Broccoli came over to him and his son came to L.A. to my agent, and we sat down. He was, God, we really want you to do this film. And I said, well, I'm doing a film in Spain with Gene Hackman and Captain Deneuve, and they're offering me Superman. And so I don't know time-wise whether it's going to work out. And I turned him down. Oh, he was so disappointed. What can we do to get you to come over there to do this? And I said, well, unless you could squeeze something together, I don't know. Because, you know, but I think it was a better decision to choose the Superman movies.
Oh, yeah. Again, a fantastic franchise to be in. And that character that you played so beautifully and treated with such respect and honor became a cult following character. People just really identified with the character, loved the character. And I'm sure when you've been at conventions and kinds of things like that, people just come up to you and
I'll tell you a funny story. The very first Comic-Con I ever did, right? And I'm sitting there and this guy come up and he was so annoyed. He said, God, he said, your character scared me to death as a child, but I loved the character. He said, he was talking about this and that. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And he said, oh my God, you can actually talk? I said, must have done the character pretty well if you didn't think I could speak.
You nailed it exactly right. Yeah.
You can actually talk. I laughed.
You can actually talk. A lot of television and various appearances. Dragnet as well. That great series.
Dragnet was a great movie. I mean, Tom Hanks and Ackwood, they were great to work with. I mean, it was Tom's breakout movie.
Yes.
And it worked. It was a great character they allowed me to do, and it worked out pretty well.
The movie version of the series, right? Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing when you look back at the body of work and the amount of movies and television work. Hero and the Terrors, another one.
Oh, Chuck was good to work with.
Norris.
We had a good time doing that as well.
What was that like working on that? Look at that shot.
I played this awesome, crazy character.
This is Jack's look when they're not being nice to him at the DMV.
I'll tell you, when I did this movie, I was married to my wife in England at the time, and she came down on the set when we were filming this and watched me work one day, and she saw me. I was joking with her, and I walked up a ramp, and I turned around. It was inside a garage. I turned around and came down the ramp as Simon Moon. I come out of the shot. She said, I don't think I could ever sleep with you again. My God, she said, how could you turn into a character like that? Just turning around and walking into it. I said, it's part of my job. What can I say? I scared the hell out of her. She said, oh my God, you scared me so much. It's only a movie, darling. You know,
I'm just doing my thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I've done it beautifully over the years as well. In addition to the boxing career and the amazing acting career and all of the movies and everything you've been in, like as I mentioned, television, film, and so much more, you you are a great writer too. And you had an opportunity to write a fantastic book, which is amazing, called Family Legacy. And people still love this, talking about it. Tell us, what was the inspiration for this book? And this book is real, it's authentic, it's open, and it's riveting, everybody.
Well, my father was a famous mafia guy. He was probably one of the most notorious that came from Italy, Albert Anastasia.
Hmm.
And they assassinated him in 57 because he wouldn't go in the drug business. And he controlled the harbors of America. And he just said, this isn't a business that we belong in. And if we touch it, our children will touch it. It'll be the downfall of the families. And he was right. Vito Genovese wanted the drug business badly. And the government was in it. The government didn't mind the gambling and didn't mind the loan sharking and stuff that was done, but they didn't want us in the drug business. So Albert had the right idea, and so they assassinated him. And then after they assassinated him, Meyer Lansky came to me and he said, we made a terrible mistake, Jack, because your father was the glue that held us together. Murder Inc. was like a police force inside of the mafia. They didn't kill innocent people. They took care of their own. And he and Buckholder were the head of Murder Inc. And it was a stronger organization at the time. It was a time when you wouldn't think of committing a crime in certain cities, that they policed it very well. So I said, it's time people told the truth about things that happened in our society. And the Kennedy assassination was, no one ever told the truth about that. And I was there. I was at Clint Murchison's house the night before. And I met a lot of serious people and got the real story as to who was actually responsible for the Kennedy assassination and why it happened. And it was all about the sins of his father, which came all the way back from in the Depression era, and when they had the control on alcohol and everything. And Joe Kennedy and the guy from Newark, New Jersey, that owned Fleischmann's Liquor, had a warehouse up in Canada because Joe Kennedy's father-in-law was owned control all the liquor out of Scotland and everything, Honey Fitzgerald. And so he had access to a lot of, they were bootlegging down into America during the Prohibition. And he had a load of booze that was supposed to go to the Purple Gang, which is a group out of Detroit. And he took it and sold it to someone else for a higher price. And these guys were nobody to play with. And they told him, they said, son, you're a dead man. He ran back to Honey Fitzgerald and told him what the problem was. He said, I can't help you with those people. You have to go to Chicago for help. So he went to Chicago, and Joe Esposito was the first Don out there, and sat him down and he said, kid, you're a good, because he was a brilliant banker, Joe Kennedy. He said, you go home to Boston, I'll take care of the Purple Gang, but you belong to us now. So he was under the thumb to Chicago, and he really didn't quite like that. He did some things that made some people in Europe very angry, and they never forgave him. When the crash happened, he rewrote some laws for the SEC and everything, and he aimed some things at bankers of Europe because they had invested a lot of money into America and they weren't getting their share back, and they were screaming about it. And so he rewrote some things, and they aimed it at the bankers. And one of the banks was owned by the Rothschilds that Jackie Kennedy's father ran. It took care of the company, and he bankrupted the company.
Bouvier, right? Yeah.
Blackjack Bouvier.
Yeah.
And he drank himself to death over that. And her mother never forgave Joe Kennedy for it. She groomed Jackie to marry Jack Kennedy. She wanted her money back. And, there's just a lot to the Kennedy assassination. And, Bobby, they were worried about what are you going to do with Bobby? Bobby's already a thorn in people's side. And Joe Kennedy said, well, we'll make him ambassador to England, Ireland. Don't worry, we'll get him out of the country, which of course didn't happen. As soon as Jack became president, he made Bobby attorney general. And he whispered in Bobby's ear, put all my friends in jail. So Bobby went after everybody, went after the mafia, went after Jimmy Hoffa, he went after everybody. So things changed. There were a lot of changes that were happening in the country. And no one ever tells the truth about it. And the guy who actually orchestrated the Kennedy assassination was the bankers of Geneva were the ones who really orchestrated. And they hired a guy called the Jackal. The original Jackal, not the guy that's in jail in France, but the original Jackal. And he was probably the most nefarious assassin in all of Europe's history. And it was the first job and the only job he ever did in America. I met him a couple of times. He was a pretty interesting character. And he orchestrated the Dealey Plaza thing. And it took 6 months for them to reroute that thing to go down Dealey Plaza. And Harvey Oswald was only a patsy. He wasn't even in the building when this whole thing went down. And there was a prison right across the street from the Byrd building. And they were looking right at the window where Oswald was supposed to be. And there were 2 dark-complected guys and 1 white guy there, 3 people in the window. And if you were going to shoot Kennedy from that window, it would have been as the car approached Dealey Plaza before it turned down, because it would have been a direct shot. Once it went down Dealey Plaza, if you were going to shoot him from the window, you would have hit him in the back of your head, and the front of his head would have come out. But he got shot in the front of his head and the back of his head. His brains come out the back of his head. There were 3 shots that hit him. First one hit him in the throat. And that was from Johnny Roselli in a cauldron alongside the street there. And the second shot came from the knoll that hit him in his lower back. They never talked about that for 10 years. And the driver of the car turned and took the 3rd shot that shot him in his forehead and blew the back of his brains out. Greer. And he admitted that in his deathbed. And there were actually 13 shots fired that day. And they took the car that night, and they took it right to New Orleans right away so that no one could see how many bullet holes were in it. And if you ever watch the Zapruder film, you'll see that there was nobody beside Kennedy's car. None of the Secret Service guys, they were all behind it. And after the shots were fired, they all ran up to the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew what was going to happen. And Zapruder was one of 2 people from New York Garment District that went to Dallas and started a company down there. And he never held a camera in his life before in his hands. And he suffered vertigo. 2 women were holding his legs while he shot. He never took his finger off the button for 28 seconds. And in the Zapruder film, you see Greer turn and make the shot that killed Kennedy.
It's really amazing. Like you mentioned, the Lee Harvey Oswald, and then, of course, Jack Ruby, and that broadcast on television. People were like, what's going on here?
Well,
amazing stuff that you're sharing with us, Jack.
They were at the Secret Service were at the Ruby's bar the night before, and they all got envelopes. And Ruby shouldn't have been able to come into that garage with a weapon. And they wanted to kill Oswald so he wouldn't talk. And the amazing part is that all the testimony when they grabbed Oswald and they took him in and they questioned him, and not one tape did they have of the interview with Lee Harvey Oswald. And when you see him come out into the garage, the policeman that was next to him stepped aside away from him because he knew Ruby was coming up to shoot him.
It's amazing. So
and when Ruby got locked up, they locked him up and they went in to question him. And he said, hey, you got to move me out of Dallas. You can't talk to me here. this isn't the place to talk to me. And they said, what are you talking about? And then he died 6 months later. They shot him up with cancer. And a couple other people shot it with cancer the same way. And they got cancer needles from the Tulane University, which had a cancer department there. And and Ruby was never sick a day in his life. All of a sudden he dies of cancer. Same as Gotti and a few other people.
Right. But, so you feel with Lee Harvey Oswald, he was just basically a pawn? He was in the
way?
way?
Patsy. He was a total patsy. His mother worked for Carlos Marcellus in New Orleans. She was a hooker. And he was a total patsy. And when they grabbed him, he was going to be like, there was a series called I Led 3 Lives about a spy. And he thought he was going to be this great spy. And he couldn't keep his mouth shut. And they moved him certain places, and he just kept rapping. They threw him out of the country and sent him back home. He just couldn't rap. He kept talking about things he shouldn't have talked about. But he was a total patsy. He was, he wasn't even in the building when all the shots were fired. And the shots were fired with a rifle, a mail-order rifle, that had no accuracy whatsoever, especially for 1,000 yards. And to shoot a bolt-action rifle for 3 shots within 28 seconds, any marksman in the world will tell you that's almost you can't do that with any kind of accuracy at all. So.
And there's been so many stories and so many thoughts about it all, and people saying this is how it happened and this is what happened.
Well, the Warren Commission was totally bogus, and
foreign government,
every 10 years they come out with new stories about this.
Was it the Bay of Pigs? Was it this? Was it that? Was it CIA? Was it that? You hear all these different stories. And now recently,
the amazing part was that Bobby was Attorney General, and 4 people, one of them being Adlai Stevenson, went to him and said, "Do not let your brother go to Texas. The animosity down there is terrible, and it's not a good idea." Okay. Bobby didn't go before, he wasn't there during, and he never went afterwards. And he was his brother's second skin, Jack's whole political career. But he never went down there before, during, or afterwards, because they knew Jack was going to die that day. And Jack Kennedy, in actuality, wasn't going to live out his term. He was dying of Addison's disease, which is a deterioration of the spinal canal. He had 4 diseases, Addison's disease, syphilis, and 2 other things. They used to shoot him up every day to keep him walking around. He was, and I liked Jack Kennedy. I met him in Boston a couple of times. He was a great politician, but his father whispered in his ear all the time. Mm. Everything he did. I mean, you talk about the election being fixed like 4 years ago when Trump was running about the votes and all. Well, when Jack Kennedy, first when he was being nominated, his father told Chicago that he had all the electoral votes. And then 2 days into he was out in California for the nomination, 2 days into it, they called up and said, well, we really got a little bit of problem. So for the first time, Illinois and 2 states next to it went Democrat. And then they called up after the 3rd day, and Joe said, well, we're still a little bit short. So West Virginia, which was controlled by Meyer and the Cellinis, because they owned the illegal casinos there. There was a lot of money in West Virginia at the time because of coal and everything. And they went into West Virginia because they had enough electoral votes to put him across the finish line. And West Virginia raised their hand. They excused some debt with people. West Virginia raised their hand, and he got nominated. And then once he got nominated to run for presidency, and he ran neck and neck with Nixon, and people in New York were worried about what they were going to do with Bobby, and and he won. And I know for a fact that in Illinois, there were counties in Illinois that people voted 20 times and they were dead. So the voting capacity was a little bit strange back in that era. Mm-hmm. And he won by a very narrow margin, And then once he became president, his father whispered in his ear, make your brother attorney general. And then he said to him, those Texas guys down there, the oil guys, have a product called surplus oil that they're not paying any tax on. And you need to levy a tax on them. Well, that angered some people pretty badly because that tax cost them a couple $100 million. They weren't too happy about it. So
it's amazing too, because you and I were chatting before we went on the air about how there's always been this mystery and this fascination and curiosity about Kennedy. And also in recent, weeks and months, we've heard talk about releasing all of this material.
I'm dying to see what they do. And you got to understand something else. Here's the president of the United States in an open car underneath the Byrd Building, and the windows of the Byrd Building are wide open. The people are walking around in the building. People came off the train and walked over the bridge that the car had to go under. And there was no Secret Service guys by his car, or no one stopped him from coming off that train, and nobody shut the windows in the Byrd Building. It was like wide open. I mean, there were like 30 people in Dealey Plaza that day that could have been assassinated. One of them being Woody Harrelson's father. Woody Harrelson's father was a hitman for New Orleans. And he was one of the guys that come off the train and walked over the bridge.
Exactly. It really is truly fascinating. Do you think that there's a lot more out there that, if released, will be surprising to us, or not really surprising to you?
I think that the public's going to be told a lot of.
They're calling you now about it.
Somebody's calling. I'll tell you. The public's going to be. I don't think to be that shocked, because there's a lot of people that. That
guy really wants to sell you the aluminum siding.
Probably. Yeah. The public, probably, the public is have lived through that, and just things don't get put in the news properly. They don't get put in newspapers properly. I mean, you watch the news every day, and the news is to make money. They don't really tell you the truth of what's going on in the world, unfortunately.
It really is a fascinating book and a fascinating story, and you're so open and real and authentic about it. What was the writing process like? It must have taken a long time to do. I mean, you'd be a fantastic investigative journalist. You basically are with this book. If this whole boxing movie career doesn't work out, investigative journalism with Jack O'Halloran might be the thing to do. But it must have been a real intensive process to get the facts, get it accurately, put it all together. How long did it take, Jack?
You're talking about things that I lived.
Yes.
See, I lived in that world.
So you knew of it.
And I knew a lot of things that were going on, and I was very close to Meyer Lansky and Frank Costello, and so I knew the truth about a lot of things that was going on, and because of who my father was. And I was close to Raymond Patriarca in Rhode Island, and it was a powerhouse in America. And you just, I sat and pondered it for a long time. And I said, I think it's time the truth gets told about things that happen and the changes in the country. And I watched a lot of changes happen, and a lot of them not for the better. So I sat down, and I have a guy in Europe who's a tremendous writer, and I talk and he writes. So the book came out very, very well. And I've got another book that we're getting ready to publish right now that they're going to do. Like I said, Paramount's going to do a film, and we're doing the film. They're going to distribute it for us. And then we're going to do this video game. This video game business is huge.
Tell us about that. That's cool.
I mean, they do these video games make more money than movies. It's unbelievable. I've been getting educated in the last year about video games, and on the Fortnite, when they came out with Fortnite, this guy that ran Epic, the company Epic, and put together this free engine stuff for doing these movie video things of books and stuff. They made $20 billion the first year, and they make a couple billion every year for follow-ups. And then you had the auto theft guy, and they made a fortune. The mafia thing made a fortune. So they were fascinated with family legacy because there's so many aspects to it and periods of history. And the fact that it covers all the states of America and Europe. I lived in Europe for 20 years, and we did a lot of fun things in Europe when I was over there, the Cellinis and I, with gambling, with Germany and everything. And I knew everybody in London. I lived in London for a few years, and I was friends with the Cray brothers and the Nashes and people in the South London. And so it was, I knew a lot of things that went on, and I watched a lot of changes happen in the world. So I figured, it's time to put it out there. And I remember when I wrote the book, and they had people that read it and put reference things up. And one old guy from New York, he was like 90-some years old, and he wrote a thing. He said, this book is 85%, 100% accurate, and he used the real names. He said, and I can tell you this from a fact because I lived it. I was there. They never printed what happened, but this book is accurate on what we're talking about. So we've been having a lot of fun with it.
I can imagine too now, whenever you hear something and you see people go crazy on this side, go crazy on that side, whatever, you must take everything with a grain of salt and look for the facts first before forming an opinion, just because you know so much and how things really work in society.
Yeah. You look at things and you just shake your head once in a while about how they color things around and make things look like it this and look like that. And I'm glad to see that Donald's president, because I think he's going to do a lot to help America get back to the strength that it belongs to have. He's going to change a lot of things. And I was married to a woman, Jackie Samuel. Her family, the Samuel, was Hill Samuel Merchant Bank in Shell Oil, and they were first cousins to the Rothschilds. So spent a lot of time around those people in Europe. I lived there for 20 years. And you learn a lot about banking and how the world banking works and things that are just starting to bubble up now. People are starting to realize how certain things are really controlled. And they've been controlled like that for a long time. And somebody just wants to really bug me. So it's time to put things in perspective, and I think that the public deserves to know the truth about certain things. I think we got a president right now that's going to turn some things around.
Do you see more roles for you too? If they came and said, "Hey, we've got this script, whether it's television or it's film," you see more? That could be them calling now, say, "Jack, you're our guy." Would you be interested if there was another role to take on?
Yeah, there's a few pictures we're going to do. I have a script I wrote years ago that there was a film called The Informer that John Ford did. Victor McLaughlin was the first character actor to win a leading Oscar. And I wrote a great script off of Liam O'Flaherty's book. And John Ford read it, and he and I sat down and talked about it. And he said, "If you don't do this before you die, kid, you should have your head kicked in." Because he loved the script, but he was already retired. And I've started to do it a couple times, and I think I will probably get that one done. And I've got another script that I'm going to do called it's a movie about a character who's called Gray Cloud, who's born with a gray cloud over his head, and it goes in as he grows up. We change it from a male to a female because of what's going on in the world. And as this child grows up, it attains the power to reverse violence. And I think we need a character like that in our society that has the ability to reverse violence before the violence happens, because there's too much violence going on in our world. I mean, if you look at Superman 1 and 2, we didn't go around killing everybody. We locked people up. You know, in the superhero pictures lately, the superheroes are killing more people than the villains are. And I think that's got to stop in our society. I mean, I see young children carrying guns to schools and young kids shooting people. And I mean, that when I was a child, that you never saw that. Didn't have drive-by shootings.
Not when I was
when we were kids, we went out in the street, we played until from sun up till sundown. And then you better be sitting at your dinner table at night. And you got to look around and say, how many families today actually sit down and eat dinner together? So that you look in each other's eyes and know what you're doing and where you're at in your life, you know? I look at young children today, they sit in a room across from each other, texting each other. They don't even walk across the room and introduce themselves. Say, hi, I'm so-and-so, you know, and personally get to know somebody. They're texting on their phones back and forth. Like I think the word that's missing out of our society today is the word respect.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't respect yourself,
right?
How are you going to respect anybody else?
Exactly right.
You know?
I've seen couples, married couples dating, you know, at a diner across from each other. They're brought to the table, they sit down, they're given the menu, they order, and then the rest of the time until the food comes, they're on their phones scrolling their phones. That one's there, that one's on the other side, and they're not even talking to one another.
You believe that? Is that amazing?
Other people on social media when they have their loved one right in front of them.
Right in front of them. Isn't that amazing? That's unbelievable. I watch that all the time and just shake my head. You know, people just don't communicate anymore. They don't. They don't know.
Right.
It's amazing. You know, and right. I think that's where. You know, when I was a child, you were taught respect. You respected your elders. You respected law and order. You were taught the word respect, and you were taught how to respect yourself. You know, for starters. I don't see that in kids today. It's sad, really, really sad.
That's a key thing you just touched on, having respect for yourself, because if you don't have it for yourself,
how are you going to respect anybody else?
How are you going to know how to respect anybody else? And the respect, the civility, we were all, like you said, raised on that. And you can go out and you could be in the yard, tossing the ball around, playing, climbing a tree. And, you know, the mother would call and say, time for dinner. It was a time where things, were more innocent. But at the same time, there's just this understanding of respect, like you said, and people would be at the table. How's the day going? How you doing in school? And a lot of that has gone away. You know, people come home and they go in separate rooms. They take their plate of food and they go up in the bedroom. And they're, you know, there's no communications. And we were created to communicate. That's why when I started this series, I didn't want this to be just an interview show. I wanted to be free-flowing conversation because, you know, being a TV radio guy and a broadcaster and just being a natural-born conversationalist, which I definitely get from my, you know, Irish dad from Astoria, Queens, New York City, conversationalist, charismatic, funny.
Queens. I ran when I was a kid, I lived up in New York when I was like in my early 18, 19 years old. I was going to play ball with the Jets. I had a job running Tasty Freeze or soft ice cream at a depot in Queens, off of Queens Boulevard.
Yes, right.
They had the trucks that ran around. It was the first ice cream truck that had hamburgers and everything on it. And we had a depot over first in Newark, then we went over to Queens, and I worked over in Queens for a summer over there. And it was,
my father used to play, you don't see it a lot now, but roller hockey for the Astoria Maple Leafs team on the streets of Astoria. They'd be on hockey on roller skates.
Sure. Oh, positively. Well, I mean, we used to have drawings of maps where we roller skated around the streets, racing and stuff, you know, playing different games and everything when you were a kid.
Police athletic league team, you know, you'd be on the PAL. And
I actually boxed. That was one thing I did when I was a kid. My step grandfather, Pete Healy, was a tough guy. and taught me how to box. And I boxed a little bit at the PAL Association for a while when I was a kid. That's one of the reasons why I liked going into boxing when I went into boxing. Because I had a natural gift that God gave me. And unfortunately, I didn't use it the way he gave it to me to use. I was too busy doing other things. And I used it as a day job. And the Rocky, see the Rocky story?
Yes.
I was the gangster fighter from Philadelphia. And Stallone did a bit part in Farewell, My Lovely. And he was writing this script about boxing, and he picked my brain every single day. And the fact that I was signed to fight with Ali, and how I came up through the ranks, and that's what, taught him about the waterfront in Philly and what we did down there with Hoffa and everything. And he was, that's where he got the story for Rocky.
That's incredible. You know, you mentioned somebody I've always enjoyed, Jackie Gleason, and you knew Jackie Gleason. What was, other than just a great actor?
He was such a nice person. I mean,
he seems like that.
What a personality, man. I mean, he was, that was my inspiration for Non. I got it from him. When he did that film, Gigo, and I asked him about it, you know, what was it like playing? He said, Jack, it was such a pleasure to be able to use facial expressions and body language to get some point across to people. And that's when I saw Non, the character, I said, you know, I got to do this. This is Jackie Gleason led.
His whole persona and people.
Oh, he was brilliant. He was such a good guy. I mean, a really nice person. I
like to live it up and enjoy. Life is short, and how sweet it is, and all the roles he played, and of course, Honeymooners. There's a couple of clips online where he made that one appearance, I believe, in 1985 on the Tonight Show with another beloved figure, Johnny Carson. And they're talking and they're laughing. And of course, Jackie Gleason's dressed to the nines with the pocket square, you know, and he has the cigarette in his hand. And there was a mug on the table. So Johnny's talking to him, and Jackie, of course, has his big smile. And he goes, Johnny, pardon me for a minute. And he leans forward and grabs the mug and takes a sip out of the mug. And then he goes, oh, boy, whatever was in that mug. And the audience,
those days, you never knew.
The audience erupted.
He was, I'll tell you, Johnny Carson. Robert Mitchum had chatted with Johnny Carson for me to do the Carson show. Yeah. And I met with Johnny at the Polo Lounge in Beverly Hills. And he wanted me to do his show really badly. And he said to me, you do the show, I'll get you nominated for supporting actor for Farewell, My Lovely. Because I thought the picture was brilliant. And I said to him, your show's live, isn't it? And at that time, it wasn't taped. It was a live show. He said, yeah. I said, well, I think I have a problem because I'm going to come on your show. You're going to ask me about my father. And I don't like talking about my father or that world. And I think I got to give it a pass. He said, oh, no. He said, we'll give you a list of questions that, we'll ask you and stuff. I said, John, you're the #1 reporter in the business. And you have Albert Anastasia's son on your set. And you're not going to ask me about my father? Please. And I turned it down. And Mitchum called me on the phone. He said, are you crazy? What's the matter with you? He said, Hollywood loves that kind of stuff, Jack. What are you nuts? He said, I said, Robert, you with your big mouth telling people about everything we talk about. Because Mitchum knew a lot about me. And he did The Friends of Eddie Coyle, which was a mafia movie about a guy from Springfield, Mass.
That's right.
And I should have. That was the first mistake I made in my career, because I probably would have had a good shot at getting nominated for supporting actor. Farewell was a really good picture, and because of Mitchum, I did a pretty good job.
Absolutely. Who are some other folks in the business that you really enjoyed working with and that you became friends or you just love being on set with them?
Brando was a
Marlon
trip.
Brando. Yeah.
Brando knew my father, and I remember the first day he was coming, and Mitchum said to me, "Listen, go down the set and say hello to him," because the first 11 days of filming was Brando, so they could get the money. So they were shooting over at Shepperton before we went into Pinewood, and so I went down the set to see him. And I was standing there waiting. He was surrounded by press people. He spotted me, and he walked through the press people and go, "Hey, kid, how you doing? I'm dying to meet you." And we became pretty good friends. He was just an incredible personality. I mean, I sat on a set with him one day watching him work, and I seen him do something I never saw any other actor do. He was doing the scene, and the camera had a problem. And the camera guy said, "Oops," he said, "Got a problem with the camera. We'll have to come back tomorrow and do it again." And Marlon said, "No, you won't. Fix the camera right now." And he turned around, his back to him, and he said, "Let me know when you got it fixed." And they fixed the camera, and he said, "Okay," and he turned around, he went right into the shot, and he finished it. And he came down off the set, and I said, and he used cue cards all the time. He had cue cards on people's foreheads and stuff like that. And I said to him, I guess a lot of people don't want to ask you, but what is with the cue cards? He said, "Jack," he said, I didn't want anybody to know that I read the script. I wanted to make it look like I'm taking the words right out of the air and stuff. And he said, and he was a great Shakespearean actor. So he sat there and he ripped off a couple parables of Shakespeare, word for word. He said, "That you must know word for word. This stuff, piece of cake." he was a fun guy. I loved Marlon. Marlon was a trip. But when he walked on the set, you could hear a pin drop.
Mm.
And he and Mitchum and a couple old timers taught me the same thing. Every day you come on that set, you say hello to everybody in the morning and you say goodnight when you leave at night, because it's a family. You're working with a family there, and everybody's got their job that lends towards what you're doing. Your lighting guy, your camera guy. And if you don't have a relationship with them, they can make you look awful bad, son.
That's smart. That is really smart. I've always had that creed as well. And I've told other people in the industry and television and all the rest, I've said, always learn from, watch, and respect everybody around you that's on set, because they all have a purpose. They all have a reason for being there, and they're all knowledgeable about what they're doing. And every puzzle piece is part of the entire
your show work well
creation. And if you irritate the makeup artist or the lighting guy or the editor,
you could be out in the garbage can somewhere.
You won't be looking so hot.
It's amazing because like John Ford and I used to have great conversations. And John Ford used to shoot rehearsals because people were that much more relaxed and stuff. And he said to me, I said, "You shot rehearsals?" He said, "Yeah." He said, people were real in what they were doing. And he said, well, first time he ever did it, and people said, "Holy cow, man, John, why are we moving everything?" He said, "I got what I want. Okay, let's move on." He said, so he used to shoot rehearsals because he got better footage. And he would shoot, John Ford used to shoot a 7-to-1 ratio.
Right.
These guys today shoot 30 and 35, and they take it into the laboratory, they try to patch it together, and they forgot how to shoot master shots.
Right.
People, and I learned from great cinematographer on Superman. He was brilliant. Geoffrey Unsworth was unbelievable. And he showed me how you shoot a master shot, and then you come in, do your pickup shots off of it and stuff like that. And you shoot a ratio of 7-to-1, 6-to-1. And a good director doesn't have to shoot 30 shots of one shot and try to patch it together. Shoot a master shot properly and then fill it in, with a cup. But you look at movies today, it's over this shoulder, over that shoulder, jumping back and forth. I get dizzy sometimes
Right.
looking at some of the
Too
stuff.
many, they call them jump cuts.
Cuts,
Yeah.
yeah. Just
Like I'll watch, I mean, I'm right there with you because we were trained in the broadcast side of things, complete a sentence, articulate, inflect, punch certain words. And now, if you watch a lot of people, even online too, they'll say 3, 4, 5 words and then edit, and then a couple more words, edit,
yeah.
another couple more words, edit. I'm like, the person can't complete a full sentence.
That's you're talking the truth. That's exactly correct.
I know. I think that they're. Some people say it's because the attention span of people is like nil now with all the short, quick hit stuff. But I sometimes think, and we were sort of trained that it is more sometimes of an uninterrupted long form that can really draw people in and they can feel what you're talking about, not just cut, 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 3 words, edit, 3 words, jump cut, jump cut. It was actually considered a mistake if you had a jump cut in video or in film and things of that nature when we were trained, but now you see it all over the place. There are times I really just enjoy, even like what we're doing now, where it's just conversing and you're saying full sentences and I'm saying full sentences.
Yeah.
And,
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, there you go again with the word respect. If you can't respect yourself and what you do, how are you going to do it right?
Jack, you have seen and done so much on and off screen. Have you thought of, and in a way you are and have been over the years too, motivational speaking? You really seem to be somebody who has a wonderful take on life. You've lived it richly. You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And here you are to tell it, tell it and talk about it in a rich way. Have you looked into speaking and things of that nature, a TED talk, those kinds of things? People, I'm sure, would line up to hear Jack do that.
I've had people approach me and I just never, I'm busy doing what I want to make Family Legacy what it should be. And I want to do Gray Cloud and I want to do The Ballad of Simple Man. And I've only got, I turned 82, I think, in April. And
God bless. Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I'm only 50. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Reality is reality. You can only do so much in your life. And I have a wife that wants me to retire, and she bugs the shit out of me all the time. You got to retire. You got to retire. We're going to travel around, do this, do that. There's things that I want to complete before I do that. And out of respect to the people that have worked with me to put some of this stuff together, and the fact that Family Legacy is coming out now, and we're going to write 2 more books to bring it up to date to how changes have happened in our society, to help people to understand that you don't have to live your life that way today. You can be real and you can be yourself, and you can express yourself properly, and you can do the things in your life that you want to do if you really want to do it. Take the time to respect yourself enough to say, you know what, I'm going to do this, whether you like it or not. I'm going to do it. And people have the ability to do that. They just don't believe in themselves enough, which is sad.
In this ongoing and rich life, these 82 years, is there anything that you wish you did or haven't done yet that you still would like to tackle, Jack?
I wish I would have paid attention to my boxing career a lot more. I think I took a great talent and took advantage of it. Here, like I know a lot of fighters today that can't speak well anymore, that have different brain damage and stuff because they took different blows and stuff and punches and stuff. And the guy gave me a gift. I never took bad beatings and stuff like that. So I just wish I would have paid more attention, because maybe Ali and I would have fought, and it would have been a great contest, because I would have went to camp and I would have done things. I wish I'd have done things differently in my career, but I just I took things for granted. I had a natural talent in football. I mean, here I was 6'6" and I weighed 280 pounds and I ran a 4.640. So I had a lot of speed and quick and ability and agility. And then I trimmed down to, like, when I went into boxing, they took me down to 235, 230. And I had a lot of speed and mobility because I could, I just had it from playing sports all my life. And it's just, I don't know. But I've had a lot of fun in doing what I've done. And film industry has been great to me. And I've been giving back to what I've gotten and get a chance to finish it out the way I want to. So I'm having a good time.
You are. You're in a sweet spot right now, aren't you?
Yeah. And, we want to build a studio in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And we got a great tax deal now. They're going to let us build with industrial hemp, which is going to revolutionize construction. Fireproof, soundproof. It's great material to build with. It's we're just help the better things in life. Help to make things like, if they'd used industrial hemp in California, the fires wouldn't have been as disastrous as they are. Things wouldn't have burnt as much as they burnt, which is very sad.
When you take a look at this extraordinary ongoing life and the amazing things that you've done, been a part of, accomplished in the athletic world, in movies, television, and so much more, published author, what would you want people to remember most? The entertainment movie star side, the boxing side, or just that Jack lived his life authentically? He was really a good guy. He respected, he appreciated, and he was grateful, or all of the above?
Yeah, that I enjoyed life, and I know what the word respect is, and I was taught it from the time I was a child. And then when I got into my father's world, I was around some very serious people that taught me some things that I never let go of. And one of the other words in our society that I think is missing is honor. A lot of people don't have honor anymore, which is very sad. And respect and honor go hand in hand.
They do, absolutely. And I'm sure you've tried to pay that forward, teach others, show others, even within your own personal family, the importance of all of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the smartest men I ever met in my life was Meyer Lansky. I mean, the guy was so brilliant; he was unbelievable. I wish he was alive today because funding for films and stuff would be a snap of the finger. It'd be a lot easier than what's going on.
Is there anybody that you wish you did get a chance to rub elbows with or work with, whether it's in the arts, entertainment, or the sports world? Anybody that, I would love to.
I had a chance to work with Eastwood one time, and I turned it down, and I wish I hadn't have done that. Because I like Clint. Clint's another gentleman, and it would have been fun working with him. I would have loved to have done a picture with him because I respect what he does, and I respect him as an actor and a director. And he's a very knowledgeable guy in the film industry. And a nice person on top of it.
What would you say to somebody who's watching this and they're seeing this veteran legendary figure, Jack O'Halloran, here on the Jim Masters Show, and they're inspired and they're considering going into these industries? They're pursuing it now. This is a dream of theirs and they want to do it. It's changed a great deal. Everything, the world has changed. What would a Jack O'Halloran say to somebody like that who's thinking about taking a foot and stepping in?
I tell people, the young people that I speak to that want to get into the industry, and I just tell them, take the character that you're reading, put them in yourself, and just be you. There's a lot of things you've done in your life that will touch base with any character that they're going to offer you. And you have to understand something about the film industry. The one most important thing about it is either the camera likes you or it doesn't. Not a lot you can do about that. And you have to learn the technical aspects of looking, get an eye line, look straight through the camera, let it find you, because it will. If it likes you, it's going to find you. And, be yourself. Don't get caught acting. Just take the character, walking in yourself, and walk down the street like you. That's simple.
Exactly. That's beautifully said. And, the camera has always liked you, Jack, in all its ways, shapes, and forms. How could you not fall in love with that, everybody? Come on.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
But then look at that shot, right? So it's you're one of the good guys, and you've been in our lives and have touched our lives in so many different ways and inspired so many people and have entertained. And you're still, like you say at the time of the show, a young 82 spring chicken, and you're still out there, you're connecting. You really love the response from people, the fact that people really appreciate who you are and what you've done. You have great gratitude, and you're thankful and respectful of the following and the fans that you come across. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I appreciate people that appreciate talent, and I think that we have something, you want to put a message across when you do a film. You want people to go to the theater to learn something, to be able to entertain them. And I think that some of the stuff that they're making doesn't entertain people the way it should. I mean, you go to the movies because you're seeking some relief and entertainment in your life, and I think that's the responsibility that we have to do that for people, to give them something that they can thoroughly enjoy and believe in what they see. Put a message across that works.
It's good stuff. You have not heard the last of Jack O'Halloran because he's working on so many projects, even getting into the video game world as well, which is exciting, and taking this incredible book, which is a must read. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, where all books are sold. It's all there available, and expanding on this extraordinary story and everything that's been revealed. And it's riveting. Those of you who like riveting material, it certainly is. But it's Jack's world, it's Jack's life, and he shares it openly with everybody in writing, and then it's going to be, turned into film and so much more. It's really cool stuff. Congratulations on everything, Jack. Really always a pleasure to converse with you and learn more about some of the cool things that you're working on, delve a little bit deeper and go down memory lane with some of the amazing things that you've done. Anybody can turn on TV and see you in this movie and that movie and on this show. And it's you're a part of not only Hollywood history, but a part of American history and all of our lives, and continue to be. And of course, in the sports world, making a mark as well. I hope you enjoyed the time with me once again, as I certainly have with you, my friend.
It's been great. And I appreciate you asking me to come on. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I haven't seen you for a while. It's good. I'm glad you're still around. Keep on ticking, kid.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've been doing it a long time, and trudging through and broadcast, and then we created this show here online. And you're always welcome here. We'll keep the porch light on, and if we're in that area of St. Pete, a bite to eat at the diner without our cell phones, it's on me, Jack.
Good idea.
That's it. You can have as many tuna melts as you want. I'm a big spender. You're the best. You keep it up. Keep doing, and of course, spend time with the loving family. And before we go, what would you say are some of the beautiful blessings and joys in your life that keep you connected with all of us?
Oh, I just, my children. I love life. Every morning, I can't wait to wake up and see what I'm going to kick around the can today, you know. And, we're getting very excited about getting ready to do Family Legacy and put it up on screen for people to see. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And this video game thing is really driving me. I mean, that's unbelievable what they can do and the way they do it and stuff. I think it's going to turn
Kids
out
must
good.
be excited about it too, and proud of all these things. Your family itself.
Yeah, you know, it's second nature. I've done things so easy in my life, you know, just baffles people. And I just take the learning of what I was taught well, and I followed the cue tips, the way people showed me how to walk down the street and keep honor and respecting myself. And
Exactly.
and it's good. You know, life's too short to be hassled, my friend.
Exactly right. Cut out all the nonsense and just enjoy. Exactly. Are you tickled pink that the Phillies Eagles won?
You know, I knew they were going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, they really put together a very good young team, and they chose well, and they didn't go to the top draft choices, and they put together some very good players, defensively and offensive line, and they had a great game plan against Kansas City, and it worked extremely well. And they're going to be around for a few years now. You know, it's
Tough team, talent, a lot of talent on the
great
team.
coaching. They have a great, well-coached team, and a lot of talent, a lot of young kids. I mean, those defensive backs are their first year in the league, and a kid picks a pick six, you know, and they just they play a good game. They play team sport, which is what's necessary in our sport world today.
Exactly. He's got those Philadelphia and New Jersey roots as he's there in Florida, and he's Boston and Hollywood. He's been everywhere, done everything, and continues to do it all for us and for his family. Jack O'Halloran, legend in the sports world and a movie star right here on the Jim Masters Show. Jack, thanks for all the time, the generosity of time. You're very generous. Always a pleasure having you here. And come see us again. As I mentioned, we will keep the porch light on for you as we do for all of our great guests.
Thanks, Jim. Take care now. Be well.
You be well. You take care as well, my friend, and we'll talk again soon. Continued blessings to you and the family.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, sir.
See you now.
Jack O'Halloran, the legend, here on our show, talking about his amazing career, going back in time as well, talking about some of the amazing movies, the people he's worked with, television shows, and so much more. And of course, his illustrious boxing career. There he is with George Foreman. He's a former heavyweight boxer. And he talked a lot about the boxing career, which was really extraordinary, and all the people that he met and he knew. And of course, the people he's worked with. One of his inspirations, legendary actor Robert Mitchum, another great talent. This was from Farewell, My Love, back in 1975. We talked about this earlier. If you joined us late, you can see this episode fully archived. King Kong as well, too, and the Baltimore Bullet. We talked about that and just so many things. His role in Superman and the character he played, which was really a terrific character, a beloved character. He was in Superman 1 and Superman 2. Kind of cool how he shared, they filmed both simultaneously. Could you imagine doing that as well? Hero and the Terror, working with Chuck Norris. Great stories he shared as well about his friendship with Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason, again, one of the legends, one of the greats. I wish that he was still around. We shared this earlier, too, as we were talking about boxing. That's my mother with Sonny Liston, the legendary boxer. When my parents were on their honeymoons, Sonny was staying in the same hotel as they were, and boom, that is a terrific family archived photo there. And talk about family legacy. Family Legacy, the book by Jack O'Halloran, is available again on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, where books are sold, and some really exciting things, as Jack shared with us, turning into a movie. He's working on video games. He's always on the cutting edge. Wherever the action is, Jack's there, and he's always been like that too. And whether there's a particular movie that you enjoyed, or perhaps his athletic career, he's just somebody that has inspired a lot of people. And what a cool story about his father, and his story about President Kennedy, which was kind of riveting as well. And Jack saying, that he was there and he had a lot of information he's known for years, and he's been sharing it openly and authentically. Very riveting but inspiring conversation with Jack O'Halloran here on the Jim Masters Show. If you enjoyed it, gang, encourage you to let us know. Talk back to us. We appreciate Jack being with us. Again, he really is a movie star and acclaimed television and film actor, heavyweight champion. And to have him here on the show and give us this amount of time was really a special treat. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know. We love interaction. There's a like button on the YouTube channel. Click that. Thumbs up, like. That helps our series be seen by more people. When you click the thumbs up icon, the thumbs up button on the YouTube channel next to all the episodes, it allows more people to see what we're doing here around the world. And if you share this episode from our YouTube channel, just share the link onto your social media. That helps us reach more people as well. The algorithm, that famous word, notices the likes, the comments, the interaction, and then it says, okay, I guess people are liking the Jim Masters Show Celebrity Talk Show series. Let's make it available to more people around the world. So when you do click like, when you do leave a comment below, not just in the chat section, but when you actually leave it below underneath the episodes, it really helps our show. Many people ask me all the time, what can we do? We want to support your show. You can do, super chat, super thanks, all of that in the chat section. You can also do super thanks below on all the episodes, even when the episodes aren't live or you're just watching 24/7. And of course, leaving a comment, clicking like, letting people know about our show, all of those things, they really do work. And if you haven't, we welcome you to join the family here at JMS. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's no cost for that. You can be a part of the JMS family. And we love having you here. We welcome everybody who is new watching and subscribing, and everybody who's one of our faithful, loyal viewers and very passionate subscribers. We thank you, and we love hearing from you as well. So drop a comment, show some levity, as we call it, and come see us again. One more time, thanks to Jack O'Halloran for stopping by. This is his return visit. He was with us a few years back. You can actually go back in the archives and see that episode. It is available for your viewing pleasure. And also, too, if you didn't see this going back in time, remembering Alfalfa. This is a riveting episode, folks, where we take a look at the life of Carl Switzer, who played Alfalfa in the Our Gang and the Little Rascals short film comedy series, which most people saw, on television. We watched it on Channel 5, WNEW TV at the time in New York. Check this episode out, too. This was really cool. We talk about the ups and downs of Carl's life, who played Alfalfa. And it's really riveting, and a lot is revealed as the great guest, writer, author, and editor James Tarani opens up about it, because he wrote the biography about Alfalfa. And another legendary person, the acclaimed television and film actress, Heather Thomas, was with us recently. And you know her from The Fall Guy and from TJ Hooker and countless television shows and movies. Modeling career, she was a pinup on many magazine covers and posters, and a wonderful, inspiring, heartfelt conversation, deep conversation we had with Heather recently. If you missed that episode, check that out as well. And you can see all of the episodes archived as well, and check them all out. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them here on the Jim Masters Show. And they're archived for you there on the YouTube channel. So you can also follow us real quick. You follow us, a little house cleaning here, or housekeeping. House cleaning? Yeah, maybe that too. Housekeeping. Follow us on all the social media. We talked a little bit about social media. Social media is a crazy place, isn't it? It's getting nuttier by the day. But we are there. You can connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Jim Masters TV and say hi and all the rest. All right, gang. Love having you here. If you missed this episode, part of it, you joined us late, come see us again for more, but you can see this full episode again archived. That's about it. It's a wrap. Check out the upcoming episodes, check out the past episodes, and come see us again right here at the Jim Masters Show. As I always try to say, we got into some inspirational talk with Jack O'Halloran on this show too, which was great. We go in so many different directions with our conversations. I don't script these shows and I don't prepare questions. I want a real good, any direction, anything can happen conversation. I think it makes more of a richer experience for the guest and for me and for you following along, because none of us know what direction we're going to go in, which I think is really cool. You learn more that way too. So we're not just a scripted interview show. It's much more conversational, like a talk show. But don't forget to love one another. Don't forget to take care of one another. And as I always say, do the very same for yourself. Jack talked about that. If you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? So very true. Wise words from the legend, Jack O'Halloran, here on JMS. This is your host, Jim Masters. I thank you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again. Be right here waiting for you in Lovety Hall at the Jim Masters Show. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know. We'll see you soon. Cheers.